Welcome back, everybody, to a
brand new season of Gentoo.
You're stealing my lines already?
Sorry, I'm just so excited to dive into the new season of gaming and tech news.
Well, I can't lie, I'm also excited for an all-new gaming news. Should we do a quick summer recap?
Speed round.
The popular 4X video game series Sid Meier's Civilization has announced Civilization 7. It's been 8 years since the last Civilization game came out, and they have teased plenty of new changes, including navigable rivers and being able to change your civilization as you go through the eras.
God of War Ragnarok is coming to PC on September 17th, giving a new way to access the award-winning game.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was announced at the Summer Game Fest, still featuring the main protagonist Henry and his adventures through medieval Bohemia, bringing all new weapons and armor and castle combat.
Black Myth Wukong shattered several records, most just 3 days after its release. It became the most played single-player game on Steam, streaking past Cyberpunk 2077, the previous record holder. In just a matter of hours and after just a few days, it reached second place on the leaderboards of highest concurrent players on Steam, only being beat by PUBG.
And that's a quick look at some of the biggest announcements and news from this summer.
Now let's check out a game that I've been itching to talk about, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 is where you put on the armor of a legendary Space Marine and the Emperor's finest and deadliest warriors. Take on massive swarms of Tyranids as they invade the core of worlds of the Imperium and harness the arsenal of the Imperium and join up with 2 other friends in PvE missions. Or take on other heretical Marines in PvP missions. Experience the thrill of shredding your way through hordes of Tyranids as you carry the banner of the Imperium through a storm of bolters and flames in Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. It's out now, so bring glory to the Emperor and the Imperium.
Tesla has dropped the ball once again, this time in a massive way. The Cybertruck, a rare sight already, is constantly getting recall notices, and many of its owners are posting on social media about their trucks failing in major and sometimes dangerous ways. From the entire car giving off 12 volts when it's charging, to losing its battery much faster than it's supposed to even its back wheels breaking their axles and sitting at an angle. One of these Cybertrucks even became a tourist attraction in Seattle before it was finally towed away. Tesla has issued 4 recalls in the past 5 months for nearly every Cybertruck out there. Despite the over 2 million placed orders in 2022, there have only been about 12,000 Cybertrucks actually sold. Elon has remained conspicuously quiet about all the issues the Cybertruck is suffering. It is up to time to tell what will happen, whether the Cybertruck will be hauled off to the dump, or if Elon and Tesla can somehow right this absolute train wreck of a release.
And that's all the time we have for news this week.
Now let's check out a brand new episode of Corby's Content Corner.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Corby's Content Corner, the show where I talk about games I'm passionate about. We've entered a new season of this series, and if it isn't clear already, I'm going to do things a bit differently this time around. Now, I've previously talked about different games from all sorts of different genres and themes, as well as characters from those games and why I like them. But why not change up this system and keep the discussion to a specific genre? Specifically, the shooter genre. Let's talk about it. Now, shooting video games, simply called shooters, are classified as a subgenre of action video game where the focus is almost entirely on the defeat of the character's enemies using the weapons given to the player. Also known as, you shoot a gun and bad guys be gone. The very first shooting game is said to be Space War, which came out all the way back in 1962. This marked the beginning to a new age of gaming. This was the first small step for the shooting world of gamekind.
Yo, that sucked.
Yeah, I know. Later on, we saw huge infamous titles take the stage, like Doom, one of the most influential FPS, or first-person shooter games, and Quake, the game that literally started speedrun. Halo, Half-Life, GoldenEye, Titanfall, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, Borderlands, Far Cry, Superhot, even Fortnite fall under this genre. Whether it's first or third person, side-scroller, or isometric view, this genre is stacked and packed with big titles. But what does this genre mean to me? Well, I've always been a fan of shooting games, all the way back when I first played Call of Duty Finest Hour on my PlayStation 2. A few years after that, I branched out to playing even more COD games, and eventually tried the Halo series, playing Halo Reach to death on my Xbox 360. Although this game genre might be valued lower than other genres, as the main gimmick is just to shoot things rather than tell a good story, I think there are many outliers that have created some of the best gaming experiences I've ever had in my life. So regardless of the quality or stories or gameplay, shooting games will always have a place in my heart. I played them back then, and I will continue to play them now. Now 1v1 me, Nuketown 2025 right now. DSR 50s and ballistas only. No screen peeking! I'll see you guys next week. Far Cry, Call of Duty, Borderlands. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm tired of reading this. I'm tired. I have it on a sticky note, and I still can't get it right. I am going to snap.
Oh, hey, what you reading there, Gabe?
I'm reading storylines.
Storylines? Let me check that out.
Well, actually, let's check it out right now.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Storylines. I'm your host, Logan Hill. This is a show where I will discuss how the characters are not just faceless NPCs, but storytelling devices for the world around you. Let's read through these lines and explore the story of Elden Ring. Elden Ring was released as another installment in the anthology series of From Software games, being an award-winning action RPG Souls-like game created by Hidetaka Miyazaki and some help from George R.R. Martin. The game is known for the open-world aspect as well as a very challenging experience where one wrong path can lead you to an area you are very underleveled for. However, one rewarding thing from games like this is the ability to learn the story through the characters in it. Melina is one of the first major NPCs you meet from the first grace you rest at. She plays the role of a maiden for the Tarnished and gives good lore information and help you through your journey.
To the flame of ruin, far above the clouds, upon the snowy mountain tops of the giants, and guide you down the path to becoming Elden Lord.
Which makes her death even sadder. A person who's been there since before the first major boss sacrifices herself for your journey so you may become Elden Lord. Or does she? There is an alternate path you can take where you are a Frenzy Flame enthusiast and burn the tree yourself. However, doing this will give you a secret cutscene at the end where she vows to take you down any way she can.
Lord of frenzied flame, I will seek you as far as you may travel to deliver you what is yours.
Moving on from her to another NPC tied to another ending is the Lunar Princess Rani. Through her, you meet 3 other NPCs named Blide, Iji, and Celubus. Iji brings another warm feeling as he offers advice and guides the player through the lands between, and Blide also gives you advice as well as aids you in the fight against a certain boss named Radahn.
The glory of the clash is shared by Radahn and you to Nokra, where Rani's fate will be decided.
Unfortunately though, he snaps at the end of the Rani questline as she has transcended the greater will, and because of this, he loses his purpose of protecting her, thus going mad and becoming an enemy for you to free. Moving on from the doom and gloom stories and moving into the DLC, a certain NPC made a huge impact on the story. His name is Egon. Meeting him for the first time, you hear him screaming in pain about he plans to get his revenge on a dragon that caused immense damage to him named Bale. As you proceed more into his quest and defeat a certain mini-boss, he recognizes you as Dragon Hunter material and says he will join you in the fight against Bale. When you summon him, you get such an emotional and inspiring speech, you realize that he will stop at nothing to take him down.
Curse you, Bale! I hereby vow you will rue this day.
And that's about all the time I have, and I will see you next week with Ghost of Tsushima. This is your host, Logan Hill, signing off.
What's wrong, Evan?
Oh, nothing. I'm taking this really hard class. It's a Descendants 101.
What is that?
Oh, well, here, let's check it out.
Wait, no. Hold on, this is not the right one. Hold on. Who put the wrong intro on it? There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new season of Gentoo. I'm Zach Greiner, and last year I brought you all through Night City and all it had to offer in Cyberpunk 2077. Not doing that this time. Zach talking about something other than Cyberpunk? That doesn't ever happen, I know. Crazy. But this time, we're setting our sights for Albion in the first Descendant. The first Descendant is a new looter-shooter game that came onto the scene earlier this summer. It's a nice blend of what feels like multiple game qualities from Destiny, Warframe, and Monster Hunter World. But these looter shooters can sometimes be a little complicated to find a good spot to jump into. Whether that's because the game mechanics don't really make sense, or it's just a matter of actually understanding the game enough to actually get better at the game. And that's what I'm here for with Descendant 101, where each week I'm going to fiddle around with the Descendant's perks in-game and bridge that gap between well-versed looter shooters and those who need a helping hand when Colossi keep pounding you into the ground. And for our first week, we're taking a look at the most bread and butter character of the entire roster, Lepic. Lepic is a pretty straightforward character. He's a grenader, with his main damage type being fire. He's one of the first 3 people you choose at the start of the game, and he's the easiest to pick up in my opinion. His first ability is pretty simple. It's a grenade. Toss it and watch it go boom. His second ability, Overclock, is a buff ability that adds a lingering burn effect to his first and fourth ability. But I personally like to swap this out with a mod called Power Unit Charge, which swaps the burn out for an increase to damage for both your weapons and your abilities. His third ability, Trash and Grenade, once thrown will pull every enemy in its radius into a focus point, allowing an easy grenade throw, or in case you need to get out of a tight spot where you're getting swarmed. His fourth, or Overkill, is his arm. Lepic will transform his cybernetic arm into a grenade launcher for big DPS against bosses, or cover a large lingering AoE area. And his last is a passive ability called Close Call. Upon taking a fatal hit, unless you're on a cooldown, Lepic will become invulnerable to all forms of damage and recover a small amount of health once the ability ends. Which, in a game about not dying, that's a pretty good perk. Now where does Lepic excel? Honestly, a little bit of everything. I found a lot of use for Lepic in multiple situations. Missions, free roam, material farms. There isn't anything he stands out doing insanely well like Bunny or Glay, but he has a naturally high defense and great abilities, therefore making him a solid pick in anything you go into. Lepic isn't the only character that's pretty easy to pick up on day one, but I felt like he was the easiest. And if I were to go through every single person on just this episode, we'd be here all day. So, you'll just have to tune in next week to find out who that is. It's been Zach Greiner on Gentoo, signing off.
Dude, this one guy, man, he just lives in his own reality.
Who are you talking about? Who's reality?
I'm talking about Aaron's reality.
Put on these glasses, and you'll enter the world of the game.
Hello everybody, and welcome to my reality. My name is Aaron, and thank you for joining me on my very first episode of Aaron's Reality. Over the coming weeks, I will be taking myself, as well as my lovely viewers, on a journey to review what life is like in the virtual world. Each week, I will be playing a different video game in virtual reality and attempt to break down my experience. Things that I will be considering for each game is 1. Level of detail. How much detail is present in the environment? 2. Immersion. How immersed can I get? Although one would assume that more detail equals better immersion, this isn't always the case. 3. Sickness induction. How easily can I feel motion sick, and to what degree? The best VR games are the ones that don't make you feel sick at all. And 4. Vibes. What is the overall feel of the game? Like the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, a game can be technically bad in all categories, but still be an unreasonably fun experience. With that said, and without further ado, let's get started. Since this is my first video, I thought I should start small. Google originally released their Google Earth program way back in June 2001. 15 years later, they took it up a notch by releasing a free app that allows you to feel like you're traveling the world. You can fly anywhere, change the time of day, and even gaze into your lovely little wizard orb to enter Street View. Although this is an impressive feat to let people explore the entire globe, the level of detail is not the greatest. In smaller cities, the terrain and buildings are almost entirely flat. Even in major cities where you can see the varying height of structures, everything is still somewhat low poly texture. In that department, I'm going to have to rank it a 3 out of 10. As someone who always wanted to be a superhero, this really gets close to feeling like one. For being a game that makes the entire world feel like a scale diorama, it's pretty impressive. However, it does lag in certain areas, such as with rendering, street view not letting you move, and the field of view being limited while moving the map. For this, I'll rank it a 7 out of 10. I could be exploring the most remote parts of the world for hours without realizing it. I've played some games that I can't even go a solid minute of before I start to sweat and feel dizzy. Phasmophobia. The lack of motion sickness is an amazing sign, so this earns a 9.5 out of 10. Who doesn't want to be an explorer? By being able to go almost anywhere, it makes you feel like you're living up in real life. It's a simple game, but a beautiful one. You can go to Rio, France, and even Wells Hall. Just be careful around Tokyo. Overall, this is a wonderful game, and I would rate the vibes a solid 8 out of 10. These all come to a rounded average of 7 out of 10. I'd say this is a very fitting score. It'll have you crawling around the floor just to get a closer look. You can download Google Earth VR for free on any Steam-compatible headset or Meta Quest. That's all for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you later.
I can't think of this one thing. I can't
The next
remember.
pack
It's
we're
like,
supposed
yeah,
to throw to?
it's something. It's like a board game, but not quite. It's
Kind of
not,
forgotten almost?
Yeah.
Like forgotten games?
Hello, my name is Tayden Hensley, and this is Forgotten Games, where we'll be talking about games that have, well, been forgotten, or games that are severely underrated and deserve a lot more attention. And maybe with this show, I can unlock some old memories for you gamers out there. For this week's episode, we'll be talking about a game that released on the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance is known for many great games like Mario Kart Super Circuit, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and Yoshi's Island. But today, we'll be talking about one of the Game Boy Advance's launch titles, Iridian 3D. Iridian 3D was released on June 11, 2001 as a launch title and developed by Xi'an Multimedia. The plot of the game is very simple. The Earth is under attack by an alien species known as the Iridian, and it is up to you, the player, to get into your starship and take down the Iridian Empire. Now, despite the name of the game having 3D in it, it's not 3D. It's a forward-scrolling rail shooter similar to games like Star Fox, but unlike Star Fox, the controls for the ship are very limited due to it being on the Game Boy, as you can only move up and down, left and right, and of course shoot. But even though it's a 2D game, the game still does look really good on the Game Boy Advance. There are 7 levels where you would take down waves of enemies, then at the end face a boss. There are many different enemies in each level. Some are harder to take down than others, but you can grab power-ups that can boost the power in your weapons and have shields. After you successfully complete a level, you will receive bonus points for defeated enemies and gain extra life if you score 10,000 points, or depending on how high the energy level of the ship is. Iridian 3D also gives players an option to put in cheat codes like getting extra lives, getting different weapons, starting at any stage you want, or if you get tired of taking down enemies, you can look at the gallery. There are also codes to listen to songs from the game, as the soundtrack for this game is very catchy and gives off that perfect alien sci-fi vibe. Even though Iridian 3D may be limited compared to other forward-scrolling shooters, it is still a good game I recommend playing, especially if you like games with a harder difficulty. Iridian 3D may not be known now, but when it first came out, it was a success, as a couple years later there will be a sequel known as Iridian 2. But that's all the time I got. I'm Tayden Hensley, and this has been Forgotten Games.
Dude, I love the weekends.
You love the weekends? Wait, don't you mean
Saturday to Sunday?
Hey everyone, my name is Dale Doback, but most people just call me Dragon. I'm going into my 5th year of college football at the University of Oregon, and I'm bringing you guys along with me for my final season. My first couple of years weren't ideal. I was redshirted my freshman year, which is pretty typical. Then I sat my redshirt freshman year, broke my ankle my sophomore year, and tore my ACL in week 2 of my junior year. Now in my final year of collegiate athletics, I hope I can stay healthy and prove I'm an NFL caliber starting quarterback. We're currently ranked number 1 as a team, and I'm also a favorite to win the Heisman Trophy as of now. We're starting off week 1 with a crucial Big Ten conference matchup and a solid opponent in USC. Starting off with a win here would be huge for our conference record and staying ranked number 1. On our opening drive, we were able to gash them down the field with a few run plays. Then here, I'm able to hit the tight end wide open down the field for another massive chunk. And then a play later, I was able to hit my other tight end on a corner route straight to the end zone for 6. On our second drive, we had lost 3 yards on the first play, and we called another run play, but I noticed the cornerbacks were pressed up on my receivers. I went ahead and called an audible to a deep pass. Sure enough, my outside receiver was able to burn his man, and we were able to take the top off the defense, giving us our first and goal on USC's 6-yard line. After a couple faulty run plays, I was finally able to drop back in the pocket and find an open receiver for my second passing touchdown of the game, and to give us a 14-0 lead. A turnover by the Trojans gave us fantastic field position starting on their side of the field. The Trojan defense was holding strong against the run, so we were able to draw up a quick pass for my third passing touchdown and increase our lead to 21. Our previous drive had ended with a miraculous touchdown on a fake punt from 48 yards out to make it 28-0. Following that touchdown, USC's offense finally kicked it into gear and was able to get into the end zone to make it 28-7. Our offense came out with under a minute left in the half, so we knew we had to move the ball fast. I was able to hit my receiver on a stop and go up the middle of the field for a huge gain. We moved into hurry up offense, which almost caused us to turn the ball over due to my butterfingers. A few plays later, I was able to hit my receiver on a corner route for my 4th passing touchdown of the half and to take a 35-7 lead into the break. USC received the second half kickoff and had a quick 4-and-out. We took possession and started marching down the field, looking to add on to our already large lead. I was able to scamper for a little over 20 yards to set us up with a first and goal on USC's 8-yard line. A few plays later, I was able to put the ball up high on a goal line fade, and my receiver came down with it to give me my 5th passing touchdown of the game and a 42-7 lead. After the drive that put us up 42-7, I went out and added another touchdown to my total by scoring on a quarterback sneak from a yard out. Nothing too impressive. Coach said he had seen enough for the day, so I was able to sit out and watch the entire 4th quarter. We were able to put the Trojans down for a 52-14 victory in what is both our conference and home openers. I was also given player of the game, going 18-24 for 381 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. I hope to see you all next week as we take on the Baylor Bears at home in a non-conference matchup.
I heard Monster Field Guide got an update.
Really? What's it about?
It's Iceborne.
It sounds a little chilly.
Well, let's check it out and see.
Welcome hunters to Monster Field Guide Iceborne, the show where I collect the monsters from Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion. After a surprise migration of Legiana and a mysterious song that disrupts the natural order, the hunters discover a new region in the new world. And fitting up this new adventure, let's look at the first monster we encounter in this new frigid expansion, Beatotus. Beatotus brings us another classification of monster, the Piscean Wyvern. These are monsters that possess fish-like qualities, such as limbs designed to propel them through the water, a hydrodynamic body plan, and a skeleton that allows for serpentine-like movements. What separates Beatotus from its contemporaries, like Gerardidas or Lavasioth, is that it swims through the snow. But before we talk about what it's truly capable of, for the first time this season, let's get to the name. Beatotus can be split into 2 parts. Let's focus on the simpler first part. Beo is a shortening of the Old English word fjord, meaning mountain, fitting of its mountainous environment. The second half of Beatotus holds 2 meanings, both relating to extinct fish. First is Ceratotus, a genus of lungfish that existed from 251 to 55 million years ago. This fits very well since lungfish have the capabilities to stay on land for extended periods of time. The other meaning comes from Ototus, or more commonly referred to as the Megalodon, an extinct species of shark that is the largest shark species to ever live. But how does this mountain lung shark survive in this harsh tundra? To start, this harsh tundra is known as the Hoarfrost Reach, a frankly beautiful region that contains a snowy forest at the foot of a massive mountain range, tall ice shelves, and intricate tunnel systems beneath the earth. What makes this environment and its monsters so extreme is how quickly they were forced to change. Due to mysteriously powerful seismic activity, the crustal plate on this once volcanic region shifted dramatically, causing the land to eventually become a floating landmass. But life will always find a way to adapt and thrive. Beatodas thrive as predators, preying on the creatures found at the base of the mountain. Their main source of food are the popo, mammoth-like pachyderms that are often too slow to avoid the vicious attacks of the Beatodas. This is because, like a shark to water, Beatodas can effortlessly glide through the snow, utilizing their large head crests for traversal and offense, cutting through snow and ice like the icebreakers of large ships before slicing into the poor popo, killing them in one decisive blow. However, much like the lungfish its name comes from, if it's ever forced to use its legs to walk, its mobility is severely limited, acting much like a fish out of water. This walking shark pulls a lot of inspirations from different species of sharks and other aquatic life, like its behavior of breaching. Breaching is a technique most commonly used by orcas in order to gauge where their prey may be hiding or just to look over the water at their surroundings. Like many species of sharks, female Beatodas produce eggs that hatch inside the womb, in which the newly hatched will then cannibalize their smaller, unhatched siblings. While it can be seen as a cruel act, they need to be strong enough to survive in such a harsh environment. Lastly, Beatodas was made for Iceborne to be a new experience and a unique monster to face as your introduction to the expansion. But more prescient was the fact that the ice element was criminally underused in the base game. Before the DLC, Legiana was the only monster that used it, so this expansion gave us a lot more icy threats. That's all the time we have for this first episode of Monster Field Guide Iceborne. Join me next time as we cover the Ice Tusk Wyvern, Barioth.
And that's all we have for this week for Gentoo.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the guard.
Hail to the Emperor!
Hail!